Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Cherie Mcrae. I said I was going to come on here, discuss a few things, and there might be interruptions with the dogs and things like that. And I apologize, but I'm authentic and I'm not going to sit here and be a fake or a fraud to you. I'm literally going to be just the most authentic I can be. And I have really bad PTSD, so I'm working on that. I'm in treatment now for it, and everything's a work in progress. So I have dogs that'll bark and things like that are going to happen, but I'm here. And so I invite you to join me as I go down a journey that I really don't want to go down. But since there is a big outcry, especially with Governor Josh Shapiro wanting to run for president, I've gotten a lot of messages from people saying, please, please, please speak up more about this, because I have not educated myself on the situation with accusations of Josh Shapiro and sexual harassment with women. I don't know anything about that. Okay. So all I can do is talk to you about my experience, what I've gone through. And I think that is what people want to hear more than anything, especially my algorithm. It shows, especially in Pennsylvania. And this is a big situation that's been going on for many, many years there. And it has been overlooked time and time again. And there's only one investigator that did the right thing. His name is Jason Hunter. You can go talk to him. He will, I'm sure, I give him the freedom to talk about it. Anybody can contact me about this case. You can email me at JusticeforCherie, CHERIE at Yahoo, if you have any questions. And then I have management people that will get with me, but that is only strictly for you to have questions about this case and what has gone on for so many years there that has been so drastically overlooked. And now it's blown up to a whole nother situation that it would involve my brother. And I said I would speak about this, and I'm going to, but there's a reason I'm taking a moment to breathe on that. Yes, my brother was arrested in Ohio for sex crimes. That is true. He's been indicted. That is true. But that's not what I'm here to talk about directly, because that's a part of what's happened. And it's hard to be a survivor and be the victim that grew up on that mountain there at Gilbert Hollow Road at 174. People, this is something very public. It's been public for years. The reason it went public is because we could not get the district attorney in Somerset, Pennsylvania to do a damn thing. That is the truth. They have been corrupt there. They have not done their job. And I have gone through, I couldn't even tell you how many district attorneys we've gone through there. Every time we get a new one, we're like psyched, we're hoped, and my team's like, okay, we're on this. We've even supported them with them saying, hey, we're going to deal with this case. We're going to handle this. And the last one was, we call him Jeffrey Boy, because when your district attorney is being charged with sex crimes, y'all, it's like, where do you expect people to get justice? Like, how do you expect a district attorney's office to get something done when your own DA is being arrested for SA crimes? And I'm really fed up. I'm fed up. And this is one of the reasons I went to the Republican side of the life, because being a Democrat was not getting me anywhere with this case. And I wasn't being a Democrat because of the case. I was being a Democrat because of the things that Democrats supported, okay? And over the years, it's just gotten to a whole nother situation. And so I decided when I got sick that I would put my story out there, so that way when I died, nobody could forget what happened to me on that mountain. What is more bothersome to me, and I know a lot of people in Pennsylvania are very disturbed by this, that this has not only been a very public thing, and here's an example. I'm going to show y'all real quick. This goes back so many years, y'all. Like, so this is my father. And by the way, we did an ancestry DNA report, and I'm biologically theirs. So they can't deny that I'm not theirs. They can't deny that I'm the girl that was on top of that mountain in a closet with a tin can for a toilet. You cannot deny it, okay? The evidence is so astronomical, and why the FBI is not hands down on top of this right now is just boom, mind-blowing. Cash Patel, this is the guy, this is my father right here. This is the man that would beat me for hours on end until my skin hung off. Okay, like, this is something that I want to testify to in court, before a jury. I want a jury of my peers in Pennsylvania to judge this story. And this, it's not even a story, it's real life. This is what happened. So when you're that person that's having to speak up, when I originally put my story out there, it was just because I wanted people to know that you could survive horrific torture. You could survive days without food. You could survive in a closet for years as you're being molested by siblings, business partners. I was sold for that mountain at 174 Gilbert Hollow. We have the deed, and that was around 2004 to 2006. You can look, the deed was transferred over to him by Charles Wright. Charles Wright came forward, wrote a confession, sat down with them at a table, and explained to him how he molested hundreds of children all over the world. He was in the Navy. He was in Norfolk, Virginia. That's where he was based. That's where Charles Wright originally got to me, was in Norfolk, Virginia. I was 5 years old approximately. And Ron McRae, I don't know how he met this man. This man was in the Navy, and they would take me on. I specifically remember, because I'm a little girl, I don't know, anything besides I'm just going on this big old ship where the Navy is ported there. And Charles Wright, you can look him up, he was in the Navy, and he would take me on there. And this was the beginning of me being molested, sold, and traded for years. So it's really hard to stand here and keep going over this with everybody. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can see the videos in there. I don't mean the shorts, I mean the videos, where I go into very graphic details. Oh my God, the lighting's not perfect in videos, or I'm just a girl that just got on here and decided to tell what happened. And I didn't know I was going to go this far, because I really thought Pennsylvania was going to do something a long time ago. And when I say Pennsylvania, y'all, I'm not talking about the citizens. I'm talking about law enforcement getting the information to the district attorney. And really it lies at the district attorney's office, because they refuse to do anything in Somerset, Pennsylvania. They will not do anything about child trafficking, child crimes, child torture. They don't care. I spoke with them this last week. It is diabolical how they talk to you. They do not care. This is why it's at Governor Josh Shapiro's feet right now. Because, see, he used to be an attorney general. He knew about this case when he was an attorney general. And he's famous for taking down corruption, and he did a great job. But he would always look over this case. And everybody that supports me, and I really thank you guys for sharing my story, and I really thank you guys for pounding this in the ground, because I'm alive and I want to testify and I want my day in court. And the evidence is so baffling strong that it's got to be a cover-up. Like it can't even be a conspiracy, y'all. The evidence is extreme. And I have reported time and time again victims that have come to me, told me what they did to them, drugging them, R-wording them. These things are turned over to the police, the district attorneys, you name it. They always, number one, want you to do everything for them. Okay, that's another problem they have there. Like, when you have a victim that is living in another state, get it together, figure it out, work it out. Make the funds available to help her get this stuff to you. But when I'm giving it to you and I'm spending 20 years of cramming information, putting it out publicly, check stubs, contracts, what is going on in Pennsylvania in the government there? What are you doing? Right now, these people are in Pennsylvania right now. These people right here. These people that had done these sick crimes to children are walking free in Pennsylvania right now. And Josh Shapiro, I am so sorry. I think that when it comes to a Democratic ticket, he would have my full support. He doesn't have my support at all right now, because I want him to address these people right here. Well, what happened on that mountain was diabolical. It was disgusting. When people want to talk about Hamas torture and what they did to the victims in Israel, that's what I lived through. I now have acute kidney failure, and the medical records in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, at the hospital there, like I've told everybody, take deep dives, you can have all the information. I could care less. I'll give it all to you. I don't care. It's so obvious what happened. That's why it's got to be a cover-up, because to understand, there's so much evidence. And when victims are like, I am the victim, I'm the main one they tortured on that mountain, okay? I can't change that. I didn't ask for that. I just lived and survived every day. And I took beatings. I'm not talking about spankings, y'all. I believe in spanking personally. We're talking about life and death beatings. And that kind of stuff happened in front of multiple people. Daniel Gowan's one of them. He helped participated. They had a whole thing with children and feces. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's the truth. And I didn't even know there was like a sexual element to it. I wasn't aware of that because I grew up on a mountain for 16 years. When you come off of there and you got a third grade education and you don't know what is a crime versus not a crime, it takes you a long time to figure it out. And I did. And with the grace of God and amazing people, this is where we're at today. And now Josh Shapiro wants to run for president. And by law, since President Trump signed in this law, and I'm not going to get everything just down to the point correct to the right wording, but y'all know, you can Google it, you can figure it out. Where people are held accountable now if you don't prosecute these people. You as a district attorney in Somerset, Pennsylvania, you can be criminally held accountable for not prosecuting these people. I have been nice. I have begged y'all. I have pleaded. I have done things that I've not told anybody just to get them the proof and the evidence. And it's so astronomical. Not only what these people did to the people of Pennsylvania, businesses have gone out. People have lost their businesses over these people. And then when you have the victim come off that mountain, she starts around 1998. I started speaking out about this. I had a lot of people contacting me. Back then it was just, phone. Well, I started speaking more and more and more about it. I was embarrassed because I didn't want people to know they did these things to me because I was so embarrassed. That girl's gone. She left a long time ago. Because the minute I put that video out there, I knew that these are so embarrassing things to say. Oh, I had a coffee can. Cherie Mcrae was my mom on that mountain on Gilbert Hall Road on 174. She gave me a coffee can as my toilet. She loved it. She literally enjoyed torturing me. And we're like, I'm talking about some of the sickest things ever. And to have the FBI there in Pennsylvania and not on top of this, not arresting these people, it just, whatever they say they're doing behind closed doors, I can't see that. Okay, y'all. And I will support the FBI, and I will support. Y'all know I back my police. I love that. I'm a big police advocate. ICE advocate. I don't believe in hurting these people. I think that's bad. I don't think you should do that. So I understand too where people get so frustrated, where they're going, "Are you kidding me? How can this keep going on?" Now those kids that were on that mountain that helped torture me too, because our parents were making them do it, or they were feeling like they needed to, I'm not sure, because there's some sick stuff that happened there. They're now grown, and now they're being arrested for sex crime. And I'm going, I don't know how you guys want to keep doing this and keep allowing this, but when you're taught, my one brother, Stephen, what he saw on that mountain, y'all, is so like, you can't find a horror movie. I've not seen one. The closest one I saw that came close to it was The Handmaid's Tale. That's what I really thought they stole my childhood story. I mean, I don't mean like stole it, but you know what I mean? Like, I really thought they went in there and made this off of what happened to me on that mountain. There's a scene in that show where that man takes his belt out and starts whipping his wife. Now I want to thank y'all. Y'all just take a That was the first time I saw a video that was made that gave a resemblance to how bad this kind of torture was. So you have a belt, and Ron McCrae is beating you as a child. You don't know how to cuss. You don't know how to be bad. You don't even know what bad is. All you know to do is just be good. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Thank you. Do what you're told. Work hard. I never did bad things as a kid. So you got to put your mind frame as a kid on top of a mountain that's been locked in a closet for years. My brothers are watching this happen. What do you think they thought of me? They thought I was just trash. But in the beginning, when they first locked me away, my oldest brother, who's dead, bless his heart, he died. And man, I tell you what, it's a crying shame that he went out in his life with such a horrific childhood, and nobody gives a damn. And yes, I'm pissed that my brothers act like that this didn't happen, and they live right there, and they're not saying a damn thing. They have. They wrote about it. We have all that. We presented that. When Steven says, yes, I watched them put my sister in her freaking outhouse hole, and then I watched them beat her till she's unconscious on the ground. He's right there in Pennsylvania. Why are you not doing something? Why are you, as an FBI agent, ATF, CIA, I don't care who you are, why are y'all not interviewing these people? Why are you not bringing them in, making them testify? And until I see that happening, I'll be damned. I will not shut up, because I want the district attorney there to do something. You need to arrest these people. By law, I have till 99 years old. And the last time I checked, I'm still alive. If you can see I'm alive, I'm alive. I want these people prosecuted. I want Ron and Cherie Mcrae held accountable for what they did. The property they live on, they traded me for God's sakes. It's not hard to prove. There's a contract with it in it. Like, what are you doing, Kash Patel? You have made promises that you are going to handle these things. Why have you not arrested those people? Why have you not served those? All my brothers should all be brought in to be testified. Like, we want you right here, right now. You're going to answer these questions and tell us what happened on that mountain. Why has that not happened? They live right there. What is the problem? Daniel Gowan, right there. Why have you not arrested that man? He stood there and forced me to carry out, literally with my hands, made me carry out animal feces at 174 Gilbert Hollow Road in Holsapple, Pennsylvania. Daniel Gowan stood there and forced me to do it. Why have you not arrested that man? Why is he still walking free? I have the right to be pissed. I have the right to be mad. You've now allowed him to have kids and all this other stuff, and you wonder why you got more crimes happening to women there? It's because you let it go. You didn't do anything for 20 years. And now you wonder why? Oh my God, what? I wonder why. I just wonder why. Well, first of all, as a state, you're supposed to help those kids when they get off that mountain. When kids have been held, y'all know this. Look at any kids that were handcuffed, held to places. I was literally zip tied to bed. Ask Cherie Mcrae, Micaiah, they all know. They witnessed it. Chris Gerritsen witnessed it. Aaron Maines witnessed it. Daniel Gowan, even though he participated and he's one of the criminals. There's so many people. This is like a joke there. Like, literally, my brother one time called me, and I was coming there, and this is years ago. This is when he was doing the right thing. It was Steven. He was in Virginia, and he was actually doing the right thing, standing up, saying, this is what happened. That's when he wrote about all the sick, vile things they did to me on that mountain. And I was so proud of him, because I just knew, like, to me, I thought all my brothers would just be like, oh, my God, this is criminal. Now we know, we're turning them in. But they didn't. They didn't. Some of them allegedly are perpetrating those same crimes now. And some of them have even, one of them particularly has been arrested recently in another state, Ohio. Let's just go ahead and talk about it. It's on the news already. Who cares? Ohio, okay, for tearing up evidence, hiring hookers that were undercover cops. Then, that's my brother. What did you want from him? Like, there's such a twisted part to this that really boggles my brain. And like I told y'all, I'm in treatment. But when your brothers that you literally sat there and got beat time and time again, your skin, like on your backside, is black, is flayed off, flayed off. What did you think he was going to be like? Just give me an example. Do you think that that kid came off that mountain and was like, gee, wow, man, I know how to treat a woman? No, we needed help. And Pennsylvania's never dropped a dime to help any of my siblings get any help. Shame on the government. Shame on the state of Pennsylvania. And I'm holding the state of Pennsylvania so responsible right now for this, because you have allowed it to go so out of control. And yes, I understand that committing crimes and hiring a hooker, that's all bad. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you let that kid sit on that mountain and watch his sister almost die. There was such sick shit they did to me in that closet. And you want to know why he ain't perfect? It's because you failed us. And I'm the only one that had the balls and the guts to speak up publicly. The government, the state of Pennsylvania, you need to drag them boys in there, sit their asses down, and make them tell the truth, because it's not that hard. They've already told the truth. They've talked about it. My one brother, my kid said the last memory I have is my sister coming out of her room soaked in blood, and my parents were behind her with this board. You know, that replica board that we made, that paddle. And I'm not talking about spanking. I'm talking about you're drenched in blood. You're on the ground. You've been beat for hours. Hours, y'all. Josh Shapiro, you want to be freaking president? Well, you can't even clean up the state of Pennsylvania. I can't even go there. And when I go there, I see these people. They're walking free. You want to tell me there's something wrong with me? No, there ain't nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with people that go around those people. They have children around those people. That right there just blows my mind. And I gotta take a time out. I'm trying to breathe, y'all. I'm really I'm trying to practice my ACE program. I'm trying right now, so bear with me. All my life, the one thing, people resort to going and getting on drugs so they can numb the pain. I was so stubborn. I was determined that I wasn't going to ruin my brain, and I was going to get justice for this. This is before it went public, which it was public, because look, you can see all these newspaper articles of what they did to gay people, terrorizing them. And all these letters that there's letters that were wrote, different organizations were terrorized. The victims of 9/11 Memorial were terrorized by them. They threatened to come out there and protest 9/11 Memorial. Are you kidding me? That's the sick stuff that happened. Do you know why they didn't show up? Me. Because they knew and they were told, if you come over here and mess with these 9/11 Memorial, because they were doing the memorial then for the victims 9/11, and hold on, this man right here is like, oh no, I don't like the way you built it. I'm going to come out there and protest it. So, Cherie, this is what happened. Okay, and I told them, it's on record, I told them, you tell them that Cherie Mcrae is going to show up. And I'm going to have a sign there that says every sick thing, years in a closet, beaten on the ground, bloody for hours. Sundays just spent beaten and beaten and beaten and beaten, starved Monday through Friday. The despicable things that happen. I said, I promise you, he won't show up. Guess what? He didn't show up. Time and time again. Also, when this case right here, you see this whole thing with these, it was called the Casanova Bar. You can look it up. It's called the Casanova Bar. They didn't like it because they're gay people. The chief of police was caught giving Ron McRae, my father, license plates to the patrons that were going into the bar. The chief of police, he was busted. I reported to that chief of police what they did to me. How was I supposed to get justice? Somebody tell me, how do you get justice in a city and a state that literally time and time and time again, they do nothing but sit on their hands, and you let it get worse and worse. Now, you want to know why? Oh, why does this happen? Why is this brother doing it? Because they were raised in hell. And one of them particularly, I forgave him for what he did to me on that mountain. He wrote about the things he did. And when he did those things, the parents, Ron and Cheryl, they would blame me for it. They would take me out of that closet and they would beat me for hours. Stephen wrote about it, how he did it. He watched them almost kill his sister. He counted the times they beat me. And the whole time he'd done it. It was so stupid. It's a tape measure, it's a pin. That's how sick these people are. They're sick. When you beat a child to death over a pin, you got a freaking problem. And I don't know why Stephen did that to me growing up. I don't know, okay? I can't speak for that man. But what I can say is that the one time in his life he told the truth. He told it quite blatantly. He said, how would you feel being a kid, like a young boy, watching your sister be beat to death, basically? I'm going to summarize. It's all posted on YouTube. It's on Facebook. We've posted it so many times, it's ridiculous. Where he talks about what he saw them do to me. Yes, he was doing those things and they were accusing me and beating me, and I don't know why. You would have to ask Stephen why he did that. I don't have a clue. I really, to this day, have never been told why. I just forgave him because I thought he was a kid. Look what he saw. Look what they did to him on that mountain. The stuff they did to me. He sat there and watched his father, my father. Yeah, now it's on DNA. You can't deny ancestry. Point, point. It said it. Cherie's yours. So anybody that wants to lie about that, because that's been claimed on social media, like you're not their real daughter. Oh, bullshit. It's on Ancestry now. So blank you. It's there. But to watch your father beat your sister for hours, y'all. One, two. This man's like, Ron McCrae's like 6 foot. I don't know. I haven't seen him in years, but let's say he's like 6 foot. In my mind, growing up, he's about 6 foot, probably 185-pound man. And this ain't no weak man. This is like a logging man on top of a mountain. And he's beating this little girl that weighs like 60 pounds. Because I stayed that weight so long and I never could gain weight. It was because they starved me so bad. And he beat me like with that paddle. Bam! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he would say, where's that pen? Where's that tape measure? And I'm like, I don't know. You know, that I'm not that calm. And I'm just trying to go over it so I don't feel it. And I wouldn't know. Stephen, my brother's on the ground over there. He's like 10 years old. He's counting how many times they hit me. And he told me one time I gave up at 100 whoopings. And I was like, so he hit me 100 times? He goes, no, no, no. That's not what I meant. Like each time he would, each break, those were, I quit after 100. I was like, well, he hit me like 5 times each time. He goes, no, it was actually like 7. And I was like, are you serious? And he's like, yes, I just gave up at 100. This was on a Sunday morning. We left church, which was not a church. It's just a building where 2 or 3 people run there. And Ron McCrae thought he was God, and he was going to tell everybody how to be God, that he was God. You need to follow him. It was never a church. That was a lie to get tax-free. That's all that was, okay? So he would have 2 or 3 very weak people that would come there. And so those people would even join in what they did to me. Example, Daniel Gowan. But we would leave from church and we'd go home. And that one time, particularly, I'll never forget it. It was over a tape measure, a little like tape measure. Y'all know what those are, right? And they accused me. And what makes no sense is that I was in a closet. So how the frick was I going to get a hold of anything? But we had gone to the mall the night before. One was over a pen, one was over a tape measure. I had the tape measure one. Stephen knew where it was, and he didn't tell Ron and Cheryl. And I believe in my heart that he was scared because he knew, because they would just start making up stuff like, you know, fruity people that make up stuff like it's not conspiracy, but whatever. They would just come up with something like, oh, we can't find a tape measure, so we're going to take Cherie out here to this tree in the front of the yard, and we're going to have all her brothers sit there and watch us beat her to death. I couldn't walk when I was done that day. They quit at 7:30, and I remember it because he was late to go to church, and church started at 7 o'clock. Well, church is not church, but that's what they would call it. So they were trying not to pay taxes. I know. It's a bunch of crap. But anyways, they would call it a church. What it really is a terrorist organization where they've done sick, vile crimes on that mountain, and something should be done. But okay, I'm going to back up to that day. They take me on that mountain. It's probably like around 1:30. And they bring me out there and they stand me out there and they're like, where's this tape measure? And I don't know. So Stephen knows, though. He's my brother. He's sitting there. He knows. And in my mind, all these years, I need to get more help with it. I don't know. But in my mind, I just kept saying, I'm glad they beat me instead of they beating him. Y'all, you just don't understand what that feels like. Because I felt like I was saving my brothers. Like I didn't want them to get hit. Because they were little bitty and I didn't want them to get hurt. And I didn't know where this tape measure was. So they just kept beating me and beating me and beating me. And Stephen is sitting there counting and he knows. And after about 3 hours, I'm like, I know I'm going to die. And Stephen knows I'm going to die. Now on my backside, like I had a jean dress on, like this is the dress I have on. The jean dress was like, it was beat into my skin. And my little brother is like 10, you know, like I didn't want Steven to get hurt. And he knew they weren't going to stop. So Ron asked to take a break for a minute, get him something to drink because he's so wore out from beating me. This is a grown man. And I'll never forget it. Stephen came walking by and he whispered to me, he said, it's in Dan Gowan's car. I remember it. And I was so hopeful at that moment, but I'm in dire need of shape. Like I need medical help so bad, y'all. So this car is a station wagon. I got pictures of it. I don't know where it's at in the car. So I think if I just say it's in the car, I'm going to get relief. Right. This is all going to end right now. So I tell Ron, it's in the car. And Ron says, where in the car is it? Well, I'm screwed now because I didn't know. And Steven can't get near me because he's still over here counting. Do you know what that did to him? Do you know what that did to that boy? I don't even care. Like, I've never held him accountable for it because it just felt like he was terrified. I felt like he was probably so scared. And since Sissy's bigger and Sissy can handle the pain better, we're going to let her go through it. And he was probably just terrified. I don't know. If he wasn't, then he was evil. I don't know which one you want to go with. But I personally, as a sister, I went with always he was terrified. He was terrified. He was watching his sister be murdered. And for the next 3 hours, it was more beatings, beating right after another after another. And I would say, it's under the driver's seat. Nope, not one. Bam, 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 bam. Now, where is it? It's under the passenger seat. Bam, bam, bam. Because it wasn't there. Duh, I don't know. It's in the back seat. Bam, bam, bam. Ron McCrae just wailing on me. And my little brother sitting there watching that. So there is a part of me, I don't care what people say. You can say it's, I shouldn't think like it. But for right now, till I get more help, I always just thought of him as a victim. I thought of him as a little boy on that mountain that just saw some of the sickest shit ever. It shouldn't have happened. But what's worse is that when the state is told about it and you turn a blind eye year after year after year, you never got us any help. I was fortunate to get to Texas and well, I didn't have any help, but I made it, right? I got some help on my own by asking questions. I was thankful. I had great people. I had like the Richards family adopt me basically for 12 years. And they were the first family that showed me love. Like I didn't know what love was. I didn't even know how to like get together and have like a family dinner. Like I didn't know any of this. And what's even sicker is I'm gonna back up. I know I'm going back and forth, and y'all know I'm ADD, and I can't help it. I'm gonna do the best I can. But from what we found out, the Dr. Phil Christian Psychiatry, whatever team that's in Dallas, when I originally got to Texas and I was 16, my grandparents took me there. They even did a lie detector test on me, y'all, and I didn't even know what it was because my grandma Mcrae, she's just like, now when you go in here, you make sure you tell the truth. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. And I remember when I came out, I was scared because she said, did you tell the truth? And I was like, yes, grandma, yes, ma'am. And she's like, I said, but I'm scared. And she said, why? And I said, because they asked me. This is how stinking fucking innocent I was. I said, grandma, they asked me if I walk over a line and like, a sidewalk line. That was one of the questions. And I had not really walked on sidewalks, so I didn't know what to answer. I was like, I don't know if I would walk over a line in a sidewalk. And she's like, oh, honey, don't worry about it, because my grandma was trying so hard. My grandma McCrae was doing everything she could to try to help me, and I wasn't really telling them everything that happened up there because I was just so ashamed. And this was their son that did it to me. Can you imagine? Like the fear I had. I didn't want to disappoint my grandparents, but at the same time, I was so messed up from what they did to me. I didn't know how to do anything. I was just a hot mess. But I wasn't like a hot mess, what y'all think of today. We're cussing and screaming and going psycho. No, I was just like, yes, ma'am, grandma. No, ma'am, grandma. And they came back and told her and my grandpa, but don't you ever let that girl go back to Pennsylvania because everything she said was true. I will never forget that letter. When it came to the mail here in Tyler, it was in Tyler where my grandparents were. That letter came in from that company, which we ended up finding out from what we know. This is, I'm going to say allegedly on this part because it's not fully been dealt with yet, but they're on it now, which is the building is the address to the Dr. Phil before he became famous. Okay, it was in Dallas. That was the team that worked on me, and they just sat me down. They asked questions. They missed a lot of questions, and that's something I've always wondered is where's the education? Because I remember all the things that people have asked in these situations, like FBI stuff. They did not ask the right questions. Like, your FBI, why didn't you ask those questions? What's wrong with you? You're supposed to be smarter than this little girl. Like, why didn't you ask those things? So fast forward, that letter came in, and I remember the guy that was seeing me there at Dallas, Texas. He was sat my grandparents down and said, "Don't you ever let her go back there." And I will never forget, he said, "I want to get on a plane. I want to go meet her parents because I have never seen such a sick, like, bunch of people." I'm summarizing. He was a Christian, so he didn't say it in the way I'm going to say it, but he was saying how sick and vile they were, that he wanted to go up there and meet somebody that was so blanked up in the head. And don't you ever let your granddaughter go back there again. So that's how I got my life started off in Texas. And over time, like, even with that, I wasn't able to tell my grandparents how bad it was, but I do know my grandma saw it when I first got to Texas, because I was in the shower and I would turn the water on. I didn't know how to do a shower, so she taught me how to turn it on. And you know those doors that slide back and forth on a bathroom where you can stand in the tub, but you can't see into the doors? Okay, does that make sense? But because they have this like weird glass print. And I remember my grandma, I was turning the water off. I was bathing because it made so much noise, and I wasn't used to that. Like, I didn't even know how to bathe, y'all. Is what I'm trying to tell y'all. I didn't know how to bathe. And my grandma was an amazing nurse. She was a sweetheart lady. I miss her. I wish she was still here. And I know she was so hurt that her son turned out this way. So it was a really awkward situation. But she opened that door because I kept turning the water off. And this is like the first week I'm here. And my whole entire backside, y'all, all the way down my legs, I flayed the freaking life. And she was like, "What happened to you?" And I was like, "Oh, well, Grandma, I ran away. I was trying to get help," which some of that was like the cuts and scratches, because I tried to run away to get away from there because they were going to start torturing me again. Yeah, they had announced it, that's how sick they are. And so she saw it and she was just horrified. And I remember after that, that's when they took me to Dallas, Texas to see those people, because I'm sure they thought I was insane. But once they did this test and found out, it just blows my mind how many questions they didn't answer. You're supposed to be trained to know these things. You should be like, I don't even know if they ever found out I was locked in a closet. I'm not really sure. I think they knew. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they even reported it. I'm pretty sure they didn't. And that's why we're trying to get the RTKs done. We've been denied over and over, but they can't deny them anymore because they're saying they don't want to embarrass the predators. That's not going to work anymore, Pennsylvania. Give it up. It's not going to work anymore. So here I am in Tyler, Texas, and I'm at work, and that's when the FBI come into if you've been following me, you've heard this story. The FBI come in to the Golden Corral restaurant. They take me out. They take me to the FBI office, and they start asking me questions. And what I do remember was so many questions they didn't ask. And this was when this was going on. This is when the FBI brought me in, because they were terrorizing the Casanova bar in Pennsylvania. They were out there with their signs. They were out there with the KKK, and they were over there screaming, that gay people are the reason that we have, and stuff like that. I don't even say the words they said because it's so diabolical. And back then, hate crimes and stuff like that hadn't really been a law that was put in, but it came in after this. And this is one of the reasons why it did. I do know that for sure, because the owner of the Casanova bar went as high as to Congress trying to get some help, because they were closing down her gay bar because these people were working with the police department. So when I'm trying to tell the police department what they've done to me, well, that doesn't get you anywhere because they're working with them. Hence the reason they got busted. It's on record. It's literally been printed in the papers. This is not something I'm just making the blank up. This really happened. So fast forward, she loses her bar, and she was one of the first people that started educating me. I'm already married now, mind you, and I don't even know that being locked in a closet was a crime. Okay? I didn't know that having a Maxwell House coffee can for a toilet was a crime. When you couldn't get out of the closet for years, it was a crime. So I didn't know these things. So the lady, her name was Patricia Kramer. Thank God. I wish I could find her. I hope she's still alive to this day. I hope she is. I always wanted her to know how much I carried on because I promised her I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep speaking up. And this is before we had the whole internet, hence the reason we have newspapers, okay? So she would call and she would tell me like what was going on. And long story short, as the internet grew over time, it kept coming up over and over and over and over. And every time it came up, and every time there was a problem there that they were causing, I would always tell the truth. And I would speak to the district attorneys. There's not been one district attorney in Somerset, Pennsylvania that has not heard this case. And one excuse was at the very beginning, I remember the first DA I spoke with, his words were, going up against your father's like going up against the devil himself. And I'm going, no, it's not. You see, back then we didn't have the internet. So they thought he was some big bad terrorist wolf person that was going to, sue the state, which he did. But they would never call the witnesses and the people that were victimized on that mountain. I find that diabolical. They paid these people. The government has paid them millions in contracts. That's why I think it's not been seen. Because literally they hired them, the government hired them to work for them, doing certain things, building certain things, so they can build like really great things, to be honest. So they have contracts. Look it up on Link if you don't believe me. Joe Rogan, all these people that are looking at this, look at Link where you see Bishop Ronnie McRae on there. He has on there, he's been contracted out to work for the government. They've had security clearances with the government. And the whole time they knew what they did to me on that mountain. That's why I think it's a cover up. That's the part I think didn't help President Obama with the whole birth certificate because Ron is such racist. So Ronnie McRae, my father, that man in this picture, okay, he's such a racist. So he went after that whole anything he could get into in media, he would stick his nose in to try to make himself sound like that he was some great preacher Christian, and he was nothing but a terrorist. That's why I call them terrorists, because that's what they do. They terrorize people and then they blackmail people. Why do you think my one brother is the way he is? You know what he told me one time? You know what Stephen told me, my brother Stephen? Because I know everybody wants to know, well, what do you think about what he did? You know what he told me? He said, I learned how to be the best manipulator in the world from Ron McRae, our dad. He was like, I'm a better manipulator than he is because I learned from the best. What did y'all expect? What did y'all expect? He needs extensive therapy. He needs extensive help. And I don't even know at this moment. That's why I don't want to get into what happened with him the other day, which was on the news. Yes, I know. Thank you guys. I'm not trying to be frustrated with y'all, but I'm not speaking on it yet because I want to go. I don't want to get into those details because I'm looking at something because there's a really big part of me where my heart hurts for him. He used to sneak me food. He would bring me water. Yeah, it might have been curdled milk and stuff, but he would bring me stuff. And yes, he did bad things to me there too, but he was taught those things. Like that's the part of me that hurts for him because I say the state of Pennsylvania should be financially held so accountable for this. Because you failed those kids on that mountain so bad. It was reported to CPS. That's what I'm trying to say. The evidence is so astronomical for them to overlook it. And now everybody, all me and my siblings have to pay the price of no help, no freaking, like, no services. Like the state is supposed to step in and aid and financially take care of kids that have been tortured and abused like we were on that mountain. And they've done nothing for us but turn a blind eye. And now you're like, oh shit, shucks. One of them's doing something like stupid and ridiculous. Well, what did you expect? You let that boy watch a little girl being tortured. Like, tortured for years, y'all, in front of him. What in God's name did you expect? And yes, I'm angry at him in the sense that I feel disappointed that he has not publicly spoke up about this. He's actually been taking care of the people that did this to us, our parents. He's been taking care of them financially. So there's that whole part where now he's aiding and abetting them. So then you go, what the hell's wrong with him? Why is he doing that? Why would he take his kids around those people that he watched almost kill his sister? And then there's the people that are going, well, because he was evil. He was just like them. He wanted to do what they did. That's why he did what he did to you on that mountain. So you see the conflict. You see how much it hurts to know, like the times he would just sneak me food. And he would, one time he helped because there was like sheetrock against the closet door they had me in, and they helped push it over to help me get it run away. And I do carry this a lot because every time something bad happened to me, Stephen was always participating. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't have a clue. It bothers me. I'm not going to lie. But I don't feel like I should speak about the situation yet because I was really hoping he was going to do the right thing. I was hoping he was finally going to give up and realize that you have been living on the wrong side of life for so long, dude. You need some daggum help, bro. You need some help. Because if your sister needed help, and it's not, you can't expect kids to be tortured, starved, beaten. Oh, the animal cruelty. Oh my God. The animal cruelty we watched, they participate. Yeah, they did. They participated. I don't know how to deal with all that when it comes to your siblings. It makes it really hard. Now, I'm not talking about my baby brothers, not the bottom two. I'm talking about the oldest one and then the one underneath me. I don't know why they did all that. I don't know. I never wanted to do that. That's why I literally took the DNA test because I didn't even think I was the Earth because I'm like, there's no way. I didn't want to do that sick shit. So why did they do it? I don't know. But they did. So here we are. And now everybody's pressuring me saying, you need to really say something about your brother being charged for all these crimes. And I'm going, have y'all ever just stopped and looked at every one of us and said, my God, man? Because I know when I go to Pennsylvania, everybody I meet there, their first immediate reaction is like, oh my God, I can't believe you lived through that. I'm so glad. A lot of them knew I was on there. They had met me as a little one. They just thought I was dead on that mountain. They thought they killed me. They didn't even know I was in Texas. But the FBI did. I mean, they came and got me, so they knew. And nothing was done. They never arrested them. Then the laws were like, after you're 21, you can't prosecute. Then those laws were changed. So now it's grandfathered over and all this other. They can be held accountable until I'm 99. That's the fact. My lawyers made that very clear. And we just want to know why they're not arresting them, holding them accountable. Did you ever think that if you arrested the people that did this, that maybe it would help me and my brothers out? Maybe we've been able to make some things better choices. Like, did you ever think about that? That's why the governor, Josh Shapiro, needs to do something. If you want to run for president, man, you better do something because this case is not, this is only getting worse. And I'm just going to keep putting out, I'll have to put out the whole live videos of everything. And those things are horrible. And I don't want to because I didn't want my nieces and nephews to see this stuff. Like, it's gone on. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. This has gone on for so long. And now we have women coming forward to saying that they've been drugged and raped by, I'm sorry, R-worded, for allegedly been R-worded and drugged by one of my siblings for sure. I just don't, like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? You've been told time and time again there, Somerset, Pennsylvania, that you got a freaking problem and you need to handle it, and you're not. Until you do, I'm not going to stop. Nobody's going to stop. It wouldn't matter if I died tomorrow. They're going to keep pushing it out because I've got great people behind me and they are fed up. They're so fed up right now to see Josh Shapiro running around going, oh, this, women can walk free and not be sexually abused here. Are you kidding me? They're walking free today in the state of Pennsylvania, Governor Josh Shapiro. What are you doing? I am not an enemy. I'm not against the government. Y'all know that. I'm for the police. I'm for it all. But until Pennsylvania arrests them, I will have nothing good to say about your leadership there. because you absolutely know there's no woman in the world that would sit here for 20 years and beg for justice if that stuff didn't happen on that mountain. You have to deal with it. You have to change what happened. You can't necessarily change it, but you can change it by holding them accountable and saying, here in Pennsylvania, you don't get to do this to kids. I've never understood why Josh Shapiro wants to go this far with it. Like, literally, you want this reputation in Pennsylvania? When you Google Pennsylvania, go visit, the first thing you see is my face. And what happened there? Why do you not want to change that? Why don't you want to hold these people accountable? They have done even sicker things that I can't even get into yet. And I've held a lot of that back because I'm waiting for the FBI to go, okay, we're going to do something. We want to know every inch of these motherfuckers' lives. When they destroy phones, when they're being arrested, you're doing that because you got sick stuff on that phone that you don't want the police to know. Police can take my phone. What's going to be on there? Like what? Nothing? I don't care because I'm not hiding anything. That's the difference between me and them. See, I've been arrested. Y'all know that. I didn't destroy my phone. Why would you do that? Like, that don't even make sense to me. And you may say, well, you're just so simple-minded, Cherie. I'd rather be simple-minded than debate evil. I'd rather cooperate with the police than be treating them like trash because you don't think that, like, that's like me going to Pennsylvania every time I'm there and just cussing out police. Because I don't do that because I believe in the system and I believe one day it's going to work. That's all I'm asking Josh Shapiro to do is stand up and do something. Because I guarantee you, when you go into the FBI and they pull out records on Ron McRae, Cheryl McCrae, Cherie Mcrae, Ronnie McRae Jr., Stephen McRae, Micaiah McRae, Enoch McRae, Daniel Gowan, all those people, Charles Wright, the stacks have got to be astronomical. They were being investigated when they were in Virginia. When they first sold me, the FBI was already investigating them there. Now, let me explain to you another problem we've had. I want to explain something to you. I went to Virginia. Personally, went into Virginia, and I told them, let me show you what I took them. Hold on. See, first of all, I want to remind y'all, this is the place they held me hostage in, this room right here. I call it a closet because it's so small. And I was sat in there, and that's where I had a tin can for a toilet because it was my mom's coffee can. She loves Maxwell House. So every time hers got empty, that's when I was able to get a new toilet. And they would literally make me pour bleach in the can after I dumped it out because they would follow me out to the outhouse and then I would pour it out and then they would make me put bleach in it and the fumes. I remember, I'll never forget the smell. Oh, and it would like rust inside of the can. And that was my toilet. And Cheryl would be like, well, next time I get through with my coffee, you get a new can. She's walking free in Pennsylvania today. Not one time she's been put in handcuffs that I know of, not one time. She loved it. She would cook down here, starve me up here for days. And every day she cooked down here, she would go, Cherie, see, when you're not full of the devil, you get to eat. Doesn't that smell good, Cherie? Don't you wish you could eat, Cherie? She wasn't beaten by Ron McRae. Don't let people lie to you. I've heard this narrative like, oh, she was being abused by Ron McRae. No, she wasn't. No, I saw one time my dad flipped out on her. Only one time in 16 years. She was never afraid to leave, y'all. That's a lie. She could have left anytime. Her family here in Texas had plenty of money. They would have put us on a plane and flew her there. She was not afraid for her life. That's a lie. Never afraid of her life, ever. She's sick. She needs help. And to me, you commit crimes, you get held accountable for them. When you lock children, Cheryl McCrae, in a room up here, I'm still waiting for the FBI to talk to me about that room. Where are you at, FBI in Pennsylvania? Where are you at, Cash Patel? Would you like to know about this place? What they did to that little girl on that mountain? What Stephen watched them do to this girl on that mountain, his sister? Why are you not asking? Because you're deliberately looking over it. because you cannot, you just can't, you cannot convince me that somebody can speak openly about this so much and you just go, gee, no, there's, my story has never changed. You know why? Because it's real. It's what I really, really lived on that mountain for many, 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 many years. It was torture, y'all. It was hell on earth. And I don't know why my brothers support them. It's so disappointed in them on that part. That part, I'm so disappointed in them. I don't know why they take their children around them. I think that's sick. I think it's foul. You're teaching my nieces and nephews to love evil versus not loving good. And then you have this state, which you're the law. You're supposed to hold these people accountable. So you're supposed to set a precedent, right? When you go in and you arrest the parents, that's when the kids can get help, right? That would be me, Stephen, my kid, Enoch. We would have all been able to get help. But y'all didn't do that. Y'all failed. So now they're grown. Now they're being arrested. And you're going, well, gee, wow, I wonder what. Because you failed. You failed us so many times. And I might be an outcast in my family. I get that. I mean, I don't get it, but I get it, right? I have forgiven them. I have tried everything in your power to try to fix this situation privately before I ever went public. And they refused. They stood their ground. They didn't want to make a change because I just thought, hey, you're going to realize like you did bad things. So we're going to fix this and we're going to move on and we're going to create a better legacy. But you didn't. You didn't. Now their kids are creating other problems. And now I've got nieces and nephews that are literally being taught. They're on TikTok singing with these people that locked a little girl in that room, starved her, beat her, and allowed people to do sexual things to her. And then turn around and traded her for this. It's on the goddamn deed. Where's the FBI in this? What are you doing? I swear to God, Josh Shapiro, you cannot be this blanket. You can't overlook this. We're not going to allow it. My fans, I'm so thankful for you guys. And I'm trying to keep it together. But it's hard to keep it together when you see this kind of stuff every day where Josh Shapiro's like, everything's great here in Pennsylvania. No, it's not. It's not. It's horrible there. It's horrible. I remember I used to have a dream that I was going to set up a home there for children that could escape the kind of torture I went through. That was my whole goal, was going to do that because I knew how rampant it is there, number one. Two, I don't know. I was just a person that survived and got out and spoke up. And no, it's not normal for my brothers to aid and abet these people. Yes, now they're criminally held for that too. Like, how many times you got to tell people, don't do this kind of stuff. It's going to catch up to you. It's like if you go and you, like you're going to go hijack something and somebody's driving the car, you could be held accountable. So when you go over there and you're helping those people that you watched your sister, that's what messes my mind up, is that my brother sat there and watched it, helped do it. Now he takes care of them. So there's just the part of me of a sister that goes, I love my brother. I didn't know he would turn out like this. I thought he would be normal, like go find normalcy, find help, get therapy, get some real help, because what he saw on that mountain is diabolical. But at the end of the day, I was the one that was severely tortured on that mountain. My brothers never felt a damn thing compared to what I went through. And yes, the way they talk to me sometimes is just so, whenever I've spoken to them over the years, I'm in shock. I just literally go, I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. Why are you so concerned about the people that killed your sister almost on that mountain? Why? Do you think they care about what's going on in my life? Mm-mm. They don't have a clue what I go through because they don't care. They care about them. They're worried about protecting them. Birds of a feather flock together. So that's the part where I say, well, the government, the FBI, and Pennsylvania, the Attorney General, and don't, please save yourself. Governor Josh Shapiro, please do not say, go take it up with the district attorney because your district attorneys are being arrested for SA women. Okay, come on. You need federal. That's why it's got it. And by the way, they trafficked me across state lines. So that means the FBI has to be involved. So the FBI needs to go in there, peel apart every one of them, and hold them accountable, because that's the part where I testify to what they did, and then the freaking law will apply what is needed to be done. Because that is my brother, okay? He did things that, yes, hurt me deeply, man, deeply hurt me. I've never understood that. I've always wanted to just him to look at me and tell me, why did you do that to me on that mountain? And then to turn around and leave there, and then to support those people, it just blows my mind. And it's sad because when you hear them, you go, that's not normal. Like, why would you teach your kids that? Why would you say, kids, put your face on TikTok? I mean, God bless America. I couldn't imagine setting my children up for that. You're setting your tagged to child trafficking, people that have basically almost killed your sister. Why would you ever put your nieces and nephews, or your kids, they're my nieces and nephews, why would you have them ever on TikTok with those people? That is so sick and vile. And at the same time, I'm thinking, is Stephen doing this so he could just, is this him pleading for help? Because this is insanity. But then I know that, no, Enoch lets his kids go around him too. So, it's normal there. It's not. It's criminal. It's criminal. So I'm not going to stop talking about it. I'm not going to shut up. I want them to hold them accountable, because you just can't do that to a child and say, well, we're just not going to care. Governor Josh Shapiro, I promise you, and I plead with you to do the right thing, because doing the right thing means you have to hold these people accountable. And when you do that, it will then change the narrative, that will change the history of Pennsylvania. Because right now, all it looks like is that all y'all do is aid and abet children being essayed, women being drugged and essayed, women being brought. By the way, one of those women that was drugged, she said she was drugged and essayed. They brought her there when she was like 14 freaking years old by her parents. Her parents need to be held accountable too. I know their names. I'll get to it in a minute. Her parents should be arrested. She doesn't even get it. I had to tell her one day, that's a crime, girlie. They brought you there to traffic you at 14. That's sick. They're telling her she's going to marry one of my brothers, and then it just destroyed another entire family. But when her parents brought her there, that is trafficking, y'all. You have so many people that have publicly, this is so public, you cannot escape it. They're come from Tennessee, Ohio, Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania. The FBI needs to do something about this. We can't fix the past, but we can help fix it by owning and changing and holding them accountable now. When you hold them accountable, that's when we start healing. I feel like I'm stuck in a time capsule, because so much of that life there has affected me every day with my health now. That's why I'm probably a hard ass. And that's probably why I don't have sometimes a lot of empathy for stupid little things that people think are a big deal. Like when people say, well, I'm a drug addict because my parents got divorced. Well, I'm sorry. Some of that stuff just doesn't ring to me, because I'm going, God, land, what did y'all expect? And that's what they did. Stephen told me that one time, my brother, he said, they expected you to turn out to be a drug addict on the side of the road. They thought you would be dead in a cardboard box. But I didn't. I survived. And they never dreamed. There would be an internet one day. They never dreamed that I would survive and speak up. They never dreamed it. You cannot run from the truth, and everything that's in the dark will come to light. And it's going to literally, somebody said, a fan of mine the other day said to me that there's a rumor, like this statement about, and I know I've said it before, like, you think P. Diddy's bad? You ain't seen nothing. Wait till this is in front of a jury, in front of the whole world on the news. You're going to think, God bless America. Why do we do something sooner? Like, literally, that's what I think it's a cover up. I don't think that they want anybody to know how much they knew this whole time and did nothing about it. That's why I feel like it's a complete cover up, because they don't want to say, oh, well, shucks, man, we've known about this for 20 freaking years. Hold on, let me show y'all something else. It's so weird. You know, like this is a Bible I had there on that mountain. This is a picture of me when I got right off that mountain. If you look really close, I'm going to shine it up here best I can, y'all. I was taking notes in my Bible because I knew when I left, I could use that Bible because they weren't going to let me leave with anything else. So I was like, okay, I'm going to write notes in here. This is when CPS came on that mountain. And they're so stupid and dumb. They didn't come with a freaking warrant. That day I was locked in that closet. They took me out of the closet and they set me on the stairs because they saw them coming up. They were like coming up like SWAT on this mountain with all these vehicles. So they ran upstairs, and actually Cheryl told Steven to get me out of the closet. That one y'all all want me to talk about. Okay, well, he gets me out of the closet, puts me on the stairs, and I'm sitting there like this because the door's right here, and there's CPS, Sheriff's Department, police, God knows, I don't know, state troopers, whatever. So now they have to leave, got to go get a warrant. And at that moment, they did, like, this is how scared I was. They ordered me to run to go to a neighbor, which is a mile away. They didn't ask Steven to do it. They didn't ask anybody else. They told me to do it. Run to a neighbor and call Ron McRae, which is my father at the time. And I call him and tell him CPS is here and they're coming back with a warrant. They took us out of that state. They were actually, if I remember correctly, they issued warrants for their arrest. They had to get me out of the state, y'all, because I was beat up so bad I had to heal. Hold on, I'm not done. Give me just a minute, and then I'm fixing to get off. I do know that the district attorney, oh, I don't have my reading glasses, sorry. The years, like these are like faxes that came back from Ron McRae when they traded me for the property. Because Charles Wright now goes, okay, because I publicly call my brother up and say, okay, I'm going to hold Charles Wright accountable, who's my dad's business partner, Ron McRae. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to handle this. I'm going to go public about this. And then they all get together with Charles Wright at Eaton Park in Somerset, Pennsylvania, with Jeff Kaiser, who was a Johnstown police officer. And Charles Wright sits there and tells him how he's done screwed over children all over the world. And then they let him go. They don't call the police. Well, I mean, the police were there, but Jeff Kaiser didn't care because he's friends with Ron McRae. So he wasn't going to report it. Johnstown, Pennsylvania, yes, Jeff Kaiser, that officer there, that one sat at the table. I was on the phone, okay? Sat at the table, heard Charles Wright talk about all this sick stuff that he did to me and other children. They let Charles Wright leave to go to a hotel room, and he writes it all down. There's so many pages. Hold on, let's not talk about this douchebag. But this right here, he would write in here about how he fondled me, where he fondled me, all this stuff. It's over and over and over. He kept writing it in there because he's molested me so many effing times. And they knew it. They absolutely knew it. And I'm in Texas because I don't know anything basically, but what I'm only getting. What I get is what I get. So he ends up making this paperwork out. Then Ron says, well, you're going to give me the mountain at 174 Gilbert Hollow Road. And that way you don't get prosecuted. So guess what? They traded me. And I'm an adult. I'm an adult in Texas. And I had no clue that this is what they were doing. But they did. The deed, everything. The dates are all right there. Even the people that sent me the deed at the office there were saying, this is sick. We know this is sick. We know what they're doing, because maybe they weren't supposed to send me the paperwork, but they did anyways, because they saw the dates on this confession and the dates on the title of that property. That's what they did. They basically blackmailed him to get the property, which is selling me again. By law, it is, period. We've already had lawyers. We've had so many people look at this, you can't get around it. That's how they ended up getting 174 Gilbert Hollow Road. So not only and I always wondered how they bought that mountain, because they didn't have any jobs. Well, Charles Wright bought it because he got a Cherie at the Naval Base in Norfolk, Virginia. That's where he got me. That's where I started, right here. Let me show you a picture. I got the pictures. Hold on. I know there's just so much stuff. It's just, boy, I'll tell you what, we need a slew of people working on this to get it all completely. Oh, here it is right here. He got me here. This is where Charles Wright got me. This is me right here. Look how sad I look. I started Charles Wright. He was in the Navy. That took me on those Navy I know there's a name for them. Those ships they put him. He would take me out there. I remember him holding my hand, taking me in there. That's where it started, right there. And then they take me from Norfolk, Virginia, because they all said they were being investigated by the FBI. So they took me, threw me in the back of a truck, drove me to Pennsylvania, and that's where they ended up with this 100-acre property. But they didn't have no jobs. And I couldn't figure out for years, like, how did they do that? Then when we found out from when Charles Wright wrote down, and then Ron wrote the contract around 2004. And when he slipped up. He wrote, when I started being molested and sexually abused by Charles Wright, was the date they got the property. That's because they sold me to him. They knew the whole entire time. That's exactly what happened. That's how they got the property. They sold their daughter for it. And when it's so much public on there, when you can look at the deed, the FBI can pull this up. When you look at those contracts that Ron wrote, like he literally told on himself, right there. Like, when did he know exactly I started being molested and sexually abused? Like, when would he know that, right? Because this is so many years ago, because this is around 2004. This started when I was 5 years old. I was born in 78, y'all. So let's get it together. 78. I'm in Virginia at 5 years old on the naval base with dadgum Charles Wright. He was he's allowed to have me. He would hold me all the time and stick his hands up my dress. They let him do it to me all the time. And when he took me, I will never forget the time on that naval base where they were way behind and walking, and he had me by the hand and he was taking me into that naval base shit thing. And I know I'm not using the right word because it upsets me, and I'm sorry, but that's what happened. And that was in Norfolk, Virginia. And then that's when they took me to Pennsylvania, and Charles Wright, it's on the deed, duh. He bought the property. They took me on the mountain, stuck me in a closet, and keep allowing him to do it to me all those years. And then when they couldn't keep me confined anymore because I had to escape, Ronnie Jr., my oldest brother, he was leaving. He was gotten of age. And they're like, oh shit, they're still alive. They're leaving now. What are we going to do? Cherie's 16. So we're just going to ship her off to Texas so that way we can cover our asses. And then the Somerset, Pennsylvania gives them $30,000. Oops, we're sorry we came on that mountain. We're so sorry. But they never freaking brought me in and talked to me. Never. I remember there was a doctor in Texas that they took me to after I healed, and he got to photograph me naked. And he knew that I had been abused and that this was his deal. That the Weedos, their names are the Weedos, they sent my parents to this doctor so he could photograph me to show try to make it look like I was not abused so they could prove their case, and they won $30,000 in Pennsylvania. Are you kidding me? Like, literally, your investigators did, I just want to say, piss ass jobs investigating. Get it together. Get a team of FBI agents and start ripping into them and hold them accountable. Because if you don't, I don't see how you could ever make a president when you have a massive case like this that is all over Pennsylvania. I don't see how Josh Shapiro is going to pull that off. I just don't. Because I am one of the biggest advocates against child abuse and making change and reform. I want to change what happened there by making a stand, holding these people accountable. That's why I really had faith in Josh Shapiro, because I know he has daughters. So I thought, in his heart, maybe he'd be like, oh my God, that's sick. I want to do something about that. So there you go. There's a lot more to it. And by the way, just so we can remind one more time, the FBI, that I know you're watching, this is Daniel Gowan. This is the man that forced me time and time again. And he did sick things like make me carry out animal feces on top of that mountain for hours, mock me, ridicule me. And I'm just this little 10, 11, 12-year-old girl. She doesn't even know the F word. She doesn't know anything. And they're standing there and they're watching and they're laughing and they're ridiculing me and they're calling me a whore. I didn't even know what a whore was. Okay. Literally, y'all, the amount of education I had was so sad. They took my shoes off. So they're afraid I would run away. And it's a mile and you're on top of a mountain. There's like, if you know Pennsylvania, there's like big rocks and stuff. And they stripped me down and they stood there. And for hours, Ron McCrae and this man, Daniel Gowan, right here, would make me carry out animal feces out the back of the barn while they called me a whore and said that I was going to hell. And I didn't know there was a sexual element to that. I had no clue. Y'all know that. I recently learned that. But Daniel Gowan was like a volunteer, like, I'm on it. I'm ready. I'm excited to do this. That man was not, he didn't come there. He came there normal. Like he was raised normal. He knew better. I want him arrested. I want him held accountable. What's the problem? What's the holdup? You don't have a holdup. The only holdup is what you're trying to cover up. And honestly, I really do. I believe it comes down to them giving them contracts. And I also believe it comes down to Ron McCrae going after President Obama about his birth certificate. Because Ron McCrae thought that was funny. I've already talked to him personally, face to face in Pennsylvania. Oh, by the way, I got a picture I want to show y'all real quick. It happened on this day because I love President Obama. I voted for him, right? At the time, I'm this hardcore Democrat. And when I get there, I'm like, I went there to go get this paperwork here, okay? Because my one brother, Micaiah, stole it to give it to me to make sure I could get justice, like get some help. So he stole it because Ron McCrae wasn't going to give it to me. So I go and I meet Ron McCrae out in front of, well, we went to a place called Eaton Park, and this Eaton Park is in, I guess you call it Wimber. Is it like Wimber up there? And this is the picture. This is the day it happened. This was the day I looked Ron McCrae in his eyes and I told him outside in the parking lot, you deserve to be in prison for the rest of your life for what you did to me. And he wasn't going to give me that paperwork. See, that's what I went there for, to get it. And that's where my other brother, Mike Kia, bless his heart, did the right thing. And he went and got it so I could get that. But again, the DA, all that had that, they just didn't care. They just looked over it over and over and over and never ever done a thing. This was his fiance at the time. But this day, we left this restaurant because I was so upset. I ended up leaving and I'm going outside. And finally, Ron McCrae comes out there, Cherie Mcrae, and I look him dead in his face. I'm like, this is the only time we get to tell this man, you absolutely deserve to be in prison for the rest of life for what you did. Like, I didn't even know at that time he was selling and still trading me off, making money by blackmailing people for what they had done to me. It's so vile and disgusting. Something needs to be done about this. This cannot keep going on. Y'all have to do something. The news there, everybody, I know everybody's in a hoopla, like about what my brother did, but you got to remember that things that have happened, again, I'm going to stick to the law and I'm going to stick to standing and telling the truth about what happened. I don't know why he did not, this is my brother Stephen, he did not go report to the police about what Charles Wright did to him, but he took a $50,000 check over it. See, that's the stuff that happened that just blows my mind. Why would you want to grow up, get as an adult, get married, have kids, and represent that kind of stuff to your children? So it's okay to take money from people that did sick things to your sister and your brother and you don't even go to the police, but you'll just take money from it. And then you go help those people that did it. Like somehow that's when you start looking like you're like really one of them. That's what's hard for me. So I'm trying to not be involved in that ground right there because it really hurts my heart because I never dreamed this would happen. I didn't dream it would go this far. But this trip changed my life in more ways because something happened on that trip I've never talked about. And I feel guilty that I didn't. Because when I got a call 3 years ago from, we're going to make up a fake name. What would we call her? Let's call her Olivia. I'm going to call her Olivia. She said, hey, your brother and his wife R-worded and drugged me. I felt sick because I felt responsible that maybe I should have spoke up sooner about something that I didn't. all happened that weekend. So, yes, I want them all held accountable. Let the judicial system, let a jury tell you what they're guilty of. That's all we're asking for. We want our day in court. And I'm sorry to all the women in Pennsylvania that have been essayed, done horrific things to. I'm sorry. But I've been screaming from the top of my lungs for 20 years, and Pennsylvania just keeps turning a blind eye. And I'll be damned. I will be the first person at any presidential debate I want to ask Josh Shapiro, how can you allow these sick crimes? These are crimes, by the way, that have happened to children all over the world. They wrote about in here. So I'm asking more of those victims to please come forward and speak publicly. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know what you went through is like kind of brainwashing. They call it Stockholm syndrome. And I believe this one victim has definitely got Stockholm syndrome for sure. What she went through is, to me, comparable to me when it comes to the sexual crimes that happened to her. And she don't understand just how bad it's hurt her. And she deserves justice. And it's going to come, because I believe in Pennsylvania. And I believe that there are enough people on here now that are so fed up and so disgusted by it, going, why are y'all not doing something? So yeah, Governor Josh Shapiro, if you want to run for presidency, I just would like to ask you, if this was your daughter, what would you do? Now that you know, what are you going to do? And would you allow your daughter, Governor Josh Shapiro, to hang out with the people in Somerset, Pennsylvania that I have named? I'm just curious. Would you let your daughters hang out with them? See, I think Governor Josh Shapiro is probably a really good dad. And I think his first instinct would be like, oh, hell freaking no. And if that's your gut instinct and you're also the district attorney there and the attorney general, I know the attorney general's last name is Sunday. I think it's Sunday, Mr. Sunday. I don't know if he has kids or not. If you won't allow your kids to go hang out with these people and have dinner, maybe you should do something, because those people are walking around that state and nothing is being held accountable. So those crimes will keep happening. And by the way, the amount of crimes that have happened there that have not come to light yet is astronomical. And I believe that the Pennsylvania citizens that have been abused, ridiculed, harassed, the gay people there, the LGBTQ people there that have been terrorized by these people, speak up, please. I'm begging you, speak up. Demand that this case be heard, because enough is enough. And I'm sorry, Pennsylvania, you're just going to have to put up the money to do the case. You're going to have to, because you're not going to get much further with it, because there's too many people that know, too many victims out there. So I'm asking the victims to stand up. You deserve justice. What happened to you with these people is sick and vile. Speak up. We got your back. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Not only did I speak up, I forgave them, but I still want them held accountable. What is right and what is wrong. And you cannot recreate what happened on that mountain. All you can do is make a change to fix it for the better good. And holding these people accountable, that's what we're asking. We want them arrested, held accountable. There you go. I love you all. Please share this. I know I could do more, like literally, look, this is just sick. I cannot sit here, y'all, and go through every single thing. It's enormous. It's so insane, the amount of stuff that has happened here, and nothing has been done about it. It's gotten out of control. And I think now with this new situation that's happened, my. Did you ever think for a second what those people would turn out like? Did you ever think how broken they are? Did you ever think how hurt they are? Could you imagine possibly even being just me? Like no family at all. I have no family because I spoke up about this. And I didn't want to continue to be hurt. And by the way, real quick, just in case, because I know the FBI are watching and they will see this. This is part of the deed. It's the same week this happened. So not hard to tell. I mean, my God, do I need to do the whole case for y'all? The dates of here with Charles Wright, when he traded that property for me, your law states that's a crime. What are you going to do about it? And until I see you at my door saying, I need it all, I want to do something, we're going to do something. This is the end of this. We're going to change this narrative, and we're going to hold these people accountable. Until that day happens, I refuse to shut up. I will never shut up. I will continue to speak out, because there was only two options on the table with this. It was either one, they'd be held accountable, justice wise, or they were to change their ways. Well, we can tell they didn't change their ways. So that's it. Thank you all. We'll be on here more. I know there's more coming. I'm just trying to contain my health on top of everything. So it's been really hard. If you want to contact me at JusticeforCherie@yahoo.com. You can send your tips there. We will keep your name private. We will not give out your name unless you want us to. We will back you and we will support you in this. But enough is enough. And it's not, I want to say one more thing. Being a victim, you're only a victim as long as you keep covering it, allowing it, and not speaking on it. When you speak up, that's when you become a survivor. That's when you take back control. Because some of these victims, they've been through hell. And they're not even clearly okay to figure out, like, they're so confused that, oh, they love me, but they do this to me. No, that's not love, y'all. That's not love at all. And enough is enough. And this is gonna. I fully believe this is coming to an end. I really do, because I think there are people in the political race that want to do and move forward, but you can't, because you can be held accountable for not prosecuting these people. So that's it. We want justice. Love you all. Please share. If you want any information, it's Justice for Cherie, CHERIE at Yahoo. My cell number, my business number, I can't give that out because of all this. It's very difficult. All the harassment we get. And I got great fans. I'm so proud of, thank God, I have awesome fans. And a lot of it too is just they're normal people going, what? This is sick. This isn't normal. What the hell? What's wrong with them? So I really appreciate you guys doing that. And I will back y'all forever. And just remember that you deserve better. You don't deserve to be drugged and R-worded. You don't deserve to be tortured for years as children. You don't deserve any of that, okay? You deserve to be loved. I never was loved growing up. I don't know what that was. I don't have that experience, but there's a lot of us out here that would love you just the way you are. I don't hold people accountable for making mistakes because they were brainwashed or they were led to believe something that wasn't true. I know one victim for sure, bless her heart. She is just, my door's always open to her, because any victims, better yet, my door's open to all of y'all. But just remember, you're a victim. And until you stand up and speak up and demand justice for what they did to you, you will continue to stay a victim. So do better for you, because you deserve better. And speak up. Thank you all. Love y'all. Again, you can email tips. If you need to contact me, you can email me there. Put in that header like urgent 911, something like that. Because we get a lot of stuff. I'm not trying to be on here to advertise. I know I have a lot of those opportunities come up, but right now, this is all I'm asking people to do is share this, demand this, call the district attorney, call Mr. Sunday, and he's attorney general there, and call Governor Josh Shapiro. You can go onto all their pages. As soon as you look them up, guess what you see? My face. That's how many years I've been at this, and I'm not quitting. If I always say, we just got started. And every time, by the way, when something like this happens that y'all are bringing to my attention right now, wanting me to talk about this new arrest, every time that happens, it's just proving one more time that how much I told the truth. And by the way, before I forget, I've got to say this. I, in 2023, did an RTK there. I named several people in that RTK. The RTK also says we don't want to release information because we don't want to embarrass the predators. One of those people was arrested. I've not lied. I've never had to lie. It was bad enough you can't even make it worse. Like, I don't know what can make it worse. So please understand that I'm still a sister. Probably don't feel like I'm very much one anymore because I don't think they really give a flip. So they're just interested in covering up everything they've done. So let's hold everybody accountable, make a change, and get people help. Get people help. I believe my brothers deserved help. They've always deserved help. So people, I know they didn't go through necessarily what I went through, but seeing what they saw, every kid in America, any person that's a human with a brain would say, yeah, they needed some help. When you watch your sister being tortured to death, yeah, they need some help. Like, duh. That's kind of common sense. So, all right. Love you all. Take care. I'm doing the best I can. Thank you. And please share, please demand justice.